Hi, it's Prodigal Sunlight, and this week we are going to be taking on a little bit of an art challenge. I've always been really fascinated by art challenges, so this week I decided to combine two because they're both fairly simple, and I went for a one color, one layer challenge. I kind of just spun around the circle till I found a random color because I couldn't really decide on one. And I ended up with the really bright purple you see in the top left corner. Now you may notice that I've actually got several layers. At the bottom is just the default white paper layer, which I leave on so I can have transparency later. The layer above the layer I'm using, I have as a locked layer, which has the little bit of purple for use just as like reference so I don't lose my color. I'm allowed to use different hues and tints, which basically just means changing how dark and light and how saturated or unsaturated the color is. Otherwise it would just be like a block or a bunch of lines, and I wanted to have more, that's not really how this challenge works. It took me a while to decide on what I wanted to draw for this. Well, that's only like half true. I knew with the color that I wanted to do Virgil from Xander's Sides because I love Xander's Sides and it's basically the perfect color for him. I did a couple sketches, but I didn't like how they were turning out until I ended up on this one of kind of Virgil as like a little kid, like maybe 8 or younger, I don't know. I just thought it was really cute to have him like in this oversized huge hoodie with like a little spider plushie, so that is what I ended up settling on. I actually didn't expect this challenge to be as hard as it was. Just to like train my art skills overall, I have worked with like singular colors in the past, but I've never really done a one layer challenge. And although I've painted in real life, like with actual paint and stuff, this was a very different process, and I ended up finding that I had to kind of change my style in order to get across something visually appealing. I can't count how many times I was frustrated that I would draw something and have to go back and like erase around it so there wouldn't be any haloing of the sketch underneath. I think one of the things that was hardest for me is I am one of the people who really likes line art. My style is not super painterly even when I do soft shading. And I am not a huge fan of lineless art. I think it looks really cool, but I don't like the process of doing it personally. I just don't enjoy it. So this was a very difficult piece for me because if I started with the lines, either I would have to skip the sketch, try and clean the sketch up, or just like have a really hard time overall filling them out without it looking just awful. So I ended up having to kind of build it out in these shapes where I would build like a piece of color and then shade it, and then build another piece of color and shade it, and I'd have to go back and forth, and it's like lineless but harder because you can't use layers to work with it better. It was very frustrating, but I overall thought it was alright. I think the thing that was probably most difficult, aside from just like it felt more difficult to fix things because like it wasn't like a no undo challenge. I could like erase things and use the undo button, but I found that a lot of the time like it was hard to adjust my sketch as I went, so problems that I hadn't noticed while making the sketch became more difficult to solve as I went. Towards the end, I kind of just go into the mesh edit to try and just kind of fix some of the proportions of the art, and I think it fixes it a fair deal, but I found that really difficult. The jacket I'm still not super pleased with. Getting the like plaid stripes on there was such a nightmare because like I didn't want to go over into the other colors, but I also didn't want to make it too short or else it wouldn't look like it reached the edge. I'm not still super thrilled with how it turned out, but I mean it turned out, so that's something. I think one thing that I found particularly frustrating was shading like the skin both on his feet and his hands. It wasn't so bad on his face, but like I didn't want to do black lines since I'd used it so little in the rest of the art. So I didn't want to use just really black lines to separate like his toes and his fingers. But like I didn't know how dark was too dark, and the lines looked a lot harsher than the rest, which looked very soft. Uh, Honestly, I'm not sure how I feel about them even now that it's done, even compared to like the parts of the piece that I do like. I think one thing that was a really nice touch is the threads that I did on the spider plushie, like just basic like stitching lines to kind of convey that it's a plushie, and the button eyes. I just think that turned out like really cute and cuddly. I kind of want a spider plushie like that just to give a little hug. I mean, when you have that many arms, it's got to be great cuddles. So, I'm not super sure what I'm going to do with this channel going forward, and I wanted to talk about that a little bit. I know I want to do more animations and animatics. I've actually got another one in the works. It's not quite an animation, I guess, but it's not an animatic. There's full line art and coloring, but it's not completely animated, it's just partially animated. I don't know, it's cool, and I like how it's coming out, but it's taking a long time, so I don't know when you guys are gonna see that. But I don't want to like not just post in the meantime, because that'll be months of silence, and I really like making videos. It's a lot of fun, even when it's just speed paints or little art challenges like this. So I'm not super sure what I'm going to do, because like most of my stuff hasn't been performing as well as the initial one, but like that's to be expected because that ghost animatic really exploded. It was kind of a little bit shocking how big it got, and a little bit scary if I'm being honest. I am a little bit nervous when it comes to the spotlight, but even if it's not like getting as many views, I find this kind of thing like a lot of fun, and I like talking to people about the art that I do, so thank you for listening. It makes me really happy that anybody's watching these and enjoying my art. I don't know if I'm going to do more challenges or more speed paints, though I just know I do want to do more videos. I'll figure it out as I go, but in the meantime, just thank you for being here. I don't have much else to say, so for now, just enjoy the rest of the speed paint. Bye! you.